The London Route, Part 6. Chenai was mopping the officers' lounge when the quartermaster walked in and bid her good morning. He handed her a gift and Chenai hesitated and wondered whether to accept the unexpected gift. The quartermaster then explained to Chenai that ever since she'd begun working at the barracks, she'd been diligent in her work and the officers were grateful and had agreed to thank her with the small gift. Chenai was assured by the quartermaster's explanation that there was nothing inappropriate about receiving the gift because it was an appreciation of her work from all the officers. If she declined the gift, it would seem like she was ungrateful for the officers' thoughtfulness and kindness. The quartermaster was glad when she accepted the gift. She smiled and said, "Thank you so much for the appreciation. I can't wait to see what the gift is. I'll keep myself in suspense and unwrap it at lunchtime." At lunchtime, Michael watched as Chenai unwrapped her gift to reveal a mug that had the barracks logo engraved on it. If the quartermaster had given you an inappropriate item like lingerie, then that would have been a big red flag, Michael said. But the mug confirms that the gift is a good gesture from a kind and generous boss. 6 months later, Chenai decided to find a new job opportunity. She wanted to work in a different field where she would earn a higher salary. It was Tendai who'd suggested giving elderly care a try and she'd completed an elderly care course. Now armed with her certificate, she spent hours scouring vacancies and submitted applications to various elderly care homes. She was ecstatic when she was invited to a job interview at Sunrise Elderly Care Home. When she passed the interview, she became a statistic of Zimbabweans who are employed in the elderly care industry in England, who Zimbabweans back home derogatorily labelled BBC, an abbreviation for British bottom cleaners. Chenai had seen a TikTok, where a TikToker questioned Zimbabweans why they chose to work in health and care professions, especially in elderly care, as if there were no other professions that they could work in. The senior carer was a veteran-aged care nurse who had been working in the industry for 15 years. Chenai's first few weeks as a novice elderly carer were daunting, but the senior carer was a great mentor and she helped Chenai to gain confidence in her new role. Chenai worked 3 nights per week. Her shift began at 8 o'clock in the evening and concluded at 8 o'clock the following morning. The senior carer assisted her whenever she needed help or advice. Most of her shift was spent on her feet, scurrying around the facility as she looked after the elderly residents. In due course, Chenai got into the swing of things and became more confident in supporting the elderly in their daily activities and personal care. She'd been warned by other carers about Monica, who they alleged was rude, obnoxious, moody, and aggressive. Surprisingly, Monica did not display any of this behavior when she was in Chenai's company. One day as Chenai was assisting Monica to bed, Monica surprised her with the words, "I like you because we come from the same country. I was born and grew up in Rhodesia." It was at that moment that Chenai noticed for the first time a picture that hung on the wall, that depicted a part of the CBD of the then city of Salisbury in Rhodesia. Also hanging on the wall was a 1975 calendar, with a picture of the magnificent and majestic Victoria Falls. Seeing Chenai's gaze fixated on the picture and calendar, Monica said, "I'm surprised that you hadn't noticed the picture and calendar before, even though you've walked in and out of my room countless times." Chenai thought for a moment and said to Monica, "We come from the same geographical location, but while you were born and grew up in Rhodesia, I was born and grew up in Zimbabwe. Rhodesia is a country of yesteryear, but Zimbabwe is a country that still exists today. I know that Rhodesia no longer exists, but I'm very proud to have been a citizen of Rhodesia in its glory days," Monica insisted. "Where in Rhodesia did you live?" Chenai asked. Monica was excited by Chenai's question and responded, "We lived on a farm in a place that was called Enkeldorn. Our farmhouse was very big, and my parents farmed various crops on a vast stretch of land." Monica's face clouded as she went on, "Our idyllic life ended abruptly when my parents were murdered by a group of men who broke into our home wielding daggers and knives. They murdered my parents in cold blood and then ransacked our home and stole all our valuables and fled. The murderers were never caught to be brought to justice. My twin brother and I were teenagers at the time, and we were fortunate to escape death because the murderers did not realize that we were hiding under our beds. After our parents' gruesome death, my father's younger brother adopted us and we migrated to England, together with his family, to begin a new life, because there was no future left for us in Rhodesia. To this day, I don't know what became of the farm we left behind. Chenai wrapped her arms around Monica and comforted her as she sobbed. She stayed with Monica until the old woman had fallen asleep. During the following weeks, fond and nostalgic memories of Monica's childhood spent with her family on their farm in Enkhuizen, Rhodesia, kept replaying in her mind. She missed the good old days when her family lived a privileged and idyllic life back then. That was a period of her life that she recalls being very happy. But everything changed the day her parents were tragically murdered. Monica's doctor had informed the carers that she had advanced cancer and was nearing the end of her life, and that reminiscence of her childhood was a sign that she would transition at any time. It was 2 weeks later when Chenai entered Monica's room for a routine checkup, when she noticed that her face was pale and she was not breathing. Chenai pressed the emergency buzzer, and, in a few moments, the senior carer rushed to Monica's room. After checking Monica's lifeless body, the senior carer said with a somber expression on her face, "There's nothing we can do. She's gone." Upon hearing this news, Chenai felt numb. The senior carer called Monica's doctor, who arrived shortly and verified her death. She then called Monica's next of kin to inform them that Monica was no more, followed by a call to the mortician to request him to come and remove Monica's body, and then finally she sat down in her office to prepare the paperwork detailing Monica's passing. For several days after Monica's death, Chenai had recurring flashbacks of the lively conversations she'd had with Monica. The end.